Here's another question that I came in that I think is pretty good. So what is your advice to an aspiring entrepreneur who has a cool business idea but has trouble getting started? I think this is like the classic case out there of entrepreneurship. It is like, so I've got this idea that's kind of cool, but what do I do with it? And I wrote a blog post recently, and it was, had kind of maybe a harsh title in some ways, but I mean it. And that, like, the title was why your idea sucks, but your inspiration is maybe inspiring. And I think that's what is important. Is I think that people get really hung up on how great their idea is. Like, I've got this great idea. I don't want to tell anyone about it. It's going to be amazing. And I think that what I've learned in kind of working through Zaarly and my next company and other companies before that is really the idea is just the start. The idea is really what inspires you to kind of attack this area and go after it. And so I would say the first thing that if you're an entrepreneur that has an idea is really to step back from the idea a little bit and figure out what inspired you for the idea. So for example, let's just say you have an idea to build an app that's a dating site app. And maybe what it is going to make the process of connecting up in person easier through a dating site, just for example. I think the important thing is to step back from that and figure out what inspired you. Was it that you had a friend that had a great experience or a bad experience? Was it that you had something that like really ties you into this? Was it that your sister is now getting old enough to date and you didn't want her using another site? Whatever it is, figure out what that inspiration is and really tap into that, because that's the thing that's going to motivate you going forward. Sometimes it might be a person, sometimes it might be an experience or a problem, but first off, that's what I would say, tap into that. And the second thing is, I would say, like, don't think your idea is so amazing you can't tell people. Like, start talking about it. If you have an idea or something you're interested in, start writing about it, blog about it, tweet about it, get out there and see what people think about it. And as I told you, I'm a huge fan and believer in what Steve Blank has done with his approach, get out of the building. And so I've actually been kind of working with Steve and folks at Startup Weekend to launch something called Next. And what Next is it's really a way to kind of take the customer discovery process and really make it something that is much more tangible and process oriented. So how do you wind up taking that idea and now turning it into a business model? And so my advice to an aspiring entrepreneur is to get out there and actually start working on it. Take that idea to a Startup Weekend and see if you can build a prototype, or take it to a Next, which is this kind of customer discovery thing that Steve Blink has been working on with myself and others. But really actually try and talk to people about the idea and crystallize that idea down into the components. So figure out what is the actual problem for the consumer. Figure that piece out, or the person who's going to buy it. Figure out what the problem is and what's a solution that could work for them. Figure out more about who is that actual target customer. Dig into that piece of it and kind of figure out what all those pieces look like. So really, like, get your hands dirty on talking to people before you spend a lot of money go out and building. So my advice is actually, like, just get out there. If you have an idea, don't feel like you have to quit your job right away. Just start talking to people and start, running tests to see what you could do for sure. And I think those are the things that I would definitely start with if you're an aspiring entrepreneur.